So back during fall camp, Will Howard got asked, I think I'm the one who actually asked the question about where's the one place he wanted to see the most improvement in his game heading into the season. And he said his ability to throw the ball down the field, push the ball down the field, his deep ball. And it does seem like that's been a constant conversation for him since he got to Ohio State. I'm Stephen, that's Andrew Gillis, and that's Stefan Krajisnik. He was getting asked more about that on Tuesday when we talked with Will Howard, Ryan Day, and Jim Knowles, and I think a lot of it was based off of the interception he threw to Jeremiah Smith and whose fault it was. Was it a good throw? Was it on Jeremiah Smith not running a good route? And I think he gave a really in-depth answer. But the thing I want to ask you, though, Stefan, is when you see the way they're running the ball right now, the way that it seems that Will Howard is so comfortable running the RPOs, how explosive they can be with 2-yard, apparently, tunnel screens, does Ohio State need a downfield vertical passing game to win a national championship in 2024?
I think so. I think you need at least a threat of it, and it's hard because through 3 games we've seen an offense that's been so dominant at the line of scrimmage and kind of within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. But when you start playing some better teams, some teams that can just have 3-4 man fronts and still be able to compete against a good running game, you need something to keep those units honest. And it's tricky to think about because what unit isn't going to look at Jeremiah and Emeka and be like, hey, we got to cover the downfield threat? But if it gets to a point where it's more of a risk than a reward for Ohio State to make that throw, then it starts getting a little bit easier for defenses. And we talk about, just how many things this offense could do, right? The RPOs, the screens, the running game, just all these different things. They want to make every inch of the field a possibility on any given play. And if your defense is saying, hey, 20 yards down the field isn't too much of a concern, well, that eliminates some of what Ohio State's trying to do. So for them to be their best version and to be a team that can compete with the Georgias and the Texases and those teams, the threat of a downfield passing attack has to at least be there. It doesn't mean that they have to play, Tennessee, Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, where every throw is just, miles down the field. But you got to have a few of those every couple games for defenses to know, hey, that's still an option.
Do they need it, Andrew? Do they need to be able to push the ball down the field if they want to win a national title?
Yes. They have to be able to do it because a lot of what Stefan said, I think is true, right? You can't have defenses just kind of pack the line of scrimmage. You can't have the safeties within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage and, playing cover 1 or cover 0. And that's just not the area that you can live because, I'm trying to put myself in a defensive coordinator's shoes, hilariously, right now. But, if I was Iowa, right, and I'm looking at this going, Will Howard can't throw deep. And if he can't throw deep, we can just have everybody up at the line of scrimmage because we want him to throw deep because we know that if he throws deep, all of a sudden those problems that we have, we're just throwing it out there that, hey, Will Howard might throw 3 picks. If we make him do it, if we make him go deep and we make them throw picks, that's how we're going to beat Ohio State. Because how many teams are more talented that you can definitively say right now how many teams are more talented than Ohio State? Maybe 0. The answer may be 0.
My team on college football 25 is more talented.
All right. But it might be 0, right? They might be the best team in the country. They might have the best offense in the country. And if that's the case, how do you beat them? Okay, we need to steal a possession or 2. We need to steal a drive or 2. We need to control the clock. And how do you do that? You take the ball out of their hands. And in one of our other videos, we talked about the defensive tackle depth maybe being a problem. And if that is a problem, you can run the ball. Then you start to get into some hairy territory there. So if you can make Ohio State not one-dimensional but less explosive, you are artificially doing things to Ohio State's offense that you want to happen, right? You are shortening the game because they're going to have to dink and dunk their way down the field. It's just going to be this cascading effect. So yes, you have to be able to do it to some modicum of success because then you can at least say, we got it. We can do this. We'll try it because all it takes is 1 or 2 chances. And then, the game's over at that point, right? You score 14 points on Jeremiah Smith bombs in the first half. And then it's okay, well, they're probably better than them anyway, whoever they're playing. So you have to at least be able to show that you'll do it. I think you have to do it maybe to some level of success, but it just has to be in your arsenal.
Marshall forced Ohio State to dink and dunk up the field, and Quinshon Judkins went 86 yards for a touchdown. And Emeka Buka went 68 yards on a tunnel screen for a touchdown. And I've watched Jeremiah Smith turn 7-yard hitches into 70-yard touchdowns. I agree with you guys. It has to be there. It has to be a threat. I don't think it has to be consistent. I have a stat. So go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts, and it'll get the text 614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. I'll be mentioning it there because I think this stat has been eye-opening for me because I think I was with you guys. Yeah, Will Howard's got to be able to push the ball down the field. I don't think on Saturday I felt like he couldn't do it. I think I agree with Will. The defensive back just made a good play. 9 times out of 10, Jeremiah Smith comes down with that ball. How do I know that? Because 2 weeks earlier, we watched Jeremiah Smith come down with that exact same football. I think Carnell Tate comes down with that ball. Mecca Buka comes down with that football. Heck, if you put Brandon Henderson in that situation, I think he comes down with the football. So I think it's fine. It's something to monitor because it's the one part of Will Howard's game that's a question mark. I don't think it's that big of a question mark, but I also don't think it's the difference between why this team does or does not win a national championship the way I maybe would have thought it in fall camp coming into the season. I'm Steven. That's Andrew. That's Stefan. We'll continue to talk about this on Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. Talk to you guys later.